Greetings, family. What's going on? This is Kofi Ofori-Boateng, author of Notes to My Sister, Let Him Serve You. I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a teacher of God's Word, a preacher of God's Word, a student of God's Word. And we have conversations around relationships. Mr. Jones, what's good? We have conversations about relationships because I focus primarily on relationship coaching. All manner of relationships, family relationships, business relationships, like the whole gamut. And we have these conversations every day at approximately 6:30 Central African time, give or take a few minutes, or 10 or 20. And on Saturdays, we have a Q&A session with Danai from Black Marriage Movement, the Black Marriage Movement page. So this morning is no different. We're going to have a Q&A session. However, today we're having, I'll let her introduce the topic because this one is hot button topic. It's going to be real. Yeah, I'm just waiting for her to get on. But in the meantime, how have you guys been doing? What's up? Talk to me. Watagwan. Wow, Mtoyo. Let's see. Who's here? Mr. Jones, what's up? Christina, 2881, what's up? YB Vic, what's good? Marunga, what's good? Wanda, welcome back. Sharon, how's it going? Alex Diva, hey. Rudy Shine, Spoo the Master, what's good? Mr. Jones says, I'm blessed. I am happy to hear that. Mr. Jones, I tried to reach out to you the other day. Yeah, like maybe we can try again during the week. I'm crazy this weekend, so maybe during the week. I'm all good, Sharon. Thank you very much for asking. I'm wonderful. I'm thriving. Yeah, it's been a great week. It's been a great month overall. I'm truly grateful, truly blessed. The book is coming along beautifully. I think I'm about almost 2/3 or 3/4 done. So that's really good. Shell Bang, what's good? How you doing? Yeah, so like that's coming along, and the preparations for the Cape Town launch of Notes to My Sister, that's coming along well as well. The Notes to My Brother book, I still don't want to release the title just yet. Portia, how you doing? I don't want to release the title just yet, and I was supposed to start releasing some, excerpts from the book, but I have noticed that there are some individuals who are in this space, the coaching space, the speaking space, and they've been grabbing my stuff and not been giving credit, And I'm not talking about scriptural references. I'm talking about things that I have phrased uniquely, They've taken that, and some of them are running with it. So. Yeah, rather than give away too much too soon, I may just, start giving away the excerpts closer to the time, or a free chapter closer to the time, because it's bananas right now. The plagiarism is crazy. In fact, on the first book, there's been a bit of a copyright issue because there are major publishers. I think they're based either in Europe or in the States, who are printing my book without that as well. It's crazy, but I guess that's capitalism. Let's see. Yeah, I sent you a text yesterday. Hey, Danai.
Hello.
Welcome, madam. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you very much for that.
Wonderful. We are extremely elated
I am.
and blessed.
I worked out a couple hours ago, so I'm like, the endorphins are. Yes. It felt really good. I hit up Doomy and I was like, yo, man, get your butt into the gym. It feels really good to sweat. Like, get in there. We both been struggling. Like, man, mine is like 2 blocks away and his is literally like down the hall. And we're both just like, we freaking suck. Like, this is ridiculous. So now it's like, let's get it.
Get it. Let's get it. It's very nice in that place.
Yes, I had a good week. This is my third workout this week, so I feel good about that.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yes, I'm doing it, man. I'm going. I'm in. I'm committed now. I was like, as soon as
Consistent.
I get back to LA, I'm in. And I did. I got back Monday night. I went to the gym Tuesday, Wednesday. I went Tuesday, skipped Wednesday, went Thursday, Friday. I'm going to keep going.
Nice.
It
Nice.
really does feel good. Like, that's the worst part is it freaking feels good. I hate that. Like, I'm up there going, God, it, this feels good. I hate that. Like, it's like, what are your excuses? It freaking feels good. There are no negatives to this thing.
They walk around with like high self-esteem all day. And it's like, this is so
Natural
problematic.
antidepressants, yes.
Like,
Like
you know,
looking good, feeling good. You know you're making your life longer. You know you're taking care of your temple. You know that you're like doing what God wants you to do. You know you're better for your family. You're taking care of your health. You're looking better. You're feeling better. Like but this sucks.
so
That's
wondering
all
like,
I was
what the
thinking
fuck
was,
is that
man,
thinking
they
all the time?
literally know excuses.
Yeah,
Like,
so let me understand. All this time, I was advanced to feeling holistically put together. Chai, what is wrong with my life?
I was fighting this. This is what I was fighting. I know. I'm just. Oh, jeez. Get up and go. So I got tired of being tired. I got tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of being like, summer's a month away. Summer's 2 months away. You're not there, right? And finally, yeah, summer started, and I was like, you know what? It's never too late. Let's just go.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's always next summer as well. But I mean, like, it's also feeling good now. So
Yeah,
that's what's up.
no, but I also, dude, I live in LA, so it's summer year round is the truth.
Round, okay. Let's go.
Yeah, it doesn't really get cold here. So the truth is, even though it is summer here, there's a reason to stay fit here. That's why everybody does stay fit here.
Nah, look, it might be more than that too. Like, it's just like, LA.
No, yeah, no, this is a place where everybody's looking. Everybody's looking. It's absolutely true. And
No.
there's positive peer pressure for that because it doesn't matter the age. Like, there are a lot of other places in the country where, after 40, people start kind of letting themselves go, or, whatever it is, after 30 sometimes. People get families, they let themselves go. Both sides, and, pot belly, whatever, don't let the baby weight go away, all of that. And in LA, I promise you, it's just, there are no excuses. Folks, drop a baby, drop the weight. And it's just, and not even just that, like, even if it takes a little while to take off the baby weight, what I mean is, what tends to happen around the rest of the country is there's sort of this escalating decline of health, and just sort of an embracing of weight and comfort, like sliding into comfort around, like I said, 40, 50. It's just kind of seen that way. Where here, no, it's not that. 40, 50, they're in the gym. 60, they're in the gym. You're on the stairs, you're doing rock climbing, you're in the mountains, and 80-year-olds are out there. You're like, got it, no excuses. I'm saying this is a place where if you want to be healthy, the lifestyle really does make it possible. There's just so many wonderful ways to work outdoors. There's also a lot of really fun things to do, even if you're not necessarily working out. I'm saying just being active. And there's healthy food everywhere and on every menu. There just is. So it's too easy. It's too easy. And people make like play dates, like adults have play dates. We like have like dates to like go work out rather than everything isn't just, oh, let's go for drinks or let's go have a meal. You really do like go do active things together and like have a conversation over that rather than breaking bread.
Okay. So that's actually a culture. I just thought it was like, I thought, okay, all right.
No, it's a culture. It absolutely is a culture. And
Okay.
it's also because like the industry is here too and the sun is here. So think about it though. If the sun is someplace year round, people are going to be out and working out and stuff, but also you really don't have a winter where people gain a lot of weight. You know what I mean? People hibernate in winter. You really don't hibernate like that here. you can still, go for a run, go for a walk, whatever, in December and November and January.
I definitely want to like visiting Venice Beach and working out on Venice Beach is one of my dreams.
Oh,
Just
yeah, you're a tourist.
yeah. You gotta rub it in. I mean, yeah, there's an African on the beach.
I had to a little bit. A little bit. No, but that's a great dream, though. Go down there with the Gold's Gym bodybuilders. Do that.
No, like have them murder me, just like kill me in a workout. That'd be dope.
It's so funny you mention that. That's where I'm gonna be tomorrow.
For real?
Yeah, I'm going to the beach tomorrow. I bought a beach chair today and some sunscreen. I will be at the beach tomorrow. I told you, I'm living it up. I literally was like, you live in the most amazing place. You're going to start taking advantage. I think I went to the beach one time last summer. This year, it's an assignment. Saturdays, go to the beach.
You know what, Danai? Boundaries. We didn't even know that, okay? All right. I find it highly inappropriate. You're gonna start bringing up going to the beach in the middle of winter in Johannesburg.
I'm so sorry. I'm really not sorry. I bought a beach chair. I'm like, I just gotta up the sunscreen, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to have some fun.
Level of disrespect.
Like, shoot, life is short. And as I'm saying it, I just want to encourage anybody else who's in the audience, if you are not having fun, if you are not, stepping out, if you are just staying home on the weekends and being a homebody and kind of secluding yourself or isolating or just, turning down party invitations or turning down, brunch or lunch or cookout invites, get out, go have some fun, go be social, go explore your city. One of the other things I looked at today, it was funny. I was actually talking to a client and talking about like a bunch of different things that they could do, making suggestions and stuff. And I'm like, doggone it, I Googled it myself because I remember we're in summer. In LA, they literally have movie series, like free movie series all over the city. You can go watch a movie. Yes! There's a huge cemetery. I know that sounds morbid, but it's really not. The Hollywood Cemetery, which is like on the back lot of Paramount. They do free movies there. There's free movies in Burbank. There's free movies. They were doing, I don't even know if they do this right now, but in Westwood at the W Hotel poolside, they were doing free movies like every Sunday. So you can just like order cool drinks, be drinking poolside, have a little blanket out there, and be watching movies like for free. Like there's a huge screen they bring out. And I'm saying this because a lot of people are always saying, what can we do for fun movie dates? And I keep saying, y'all ain't trying. You're not inventive. You're not thinking. You're not Googling cool stuff that, yes, rooftops and in the parks. Yep. Michelle just said they're everywhere. They're all over the city. And I love it because it's like, especially things are really pricey now for families, particularly like a movie, like just taking a family of 4 out to the movies, that's easily $100. Well, you bring your picnic basket, you bring some Chipotle, you bring some whatever, bring your sandwiches, bring your snacks, and you and the hubs and the kids can be watching movies. And I'm saying every place is different. So like there are a lot of places where it's all family movies. So a family of 4 could just go and, have fun in the park. But lots of different ideas of things you guys can do over the summer to just have fun. The other thing you could do, meetup groups are real. Like, I'm not as good at that because I oversubscribe, so now I need to undersubscribe so I can just sort of cherry pick. But I have a girlfriend who's really good at it, and she'll call me up and be like, I just did a meetup for a yacht. You want to come? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And in that particular instance, listen, in that particular instance, somebody had a yacht. A yacht. Someone had a yacht docked at the marina. And
you gotta say
he literally had a couple of friends that he wanted to go with, but he was like, this isn't enough people. So he put it on the meetup and he was like, anybody want to join us for, a trip around the marina in the yacht? And we were like, yeah. Had a blast. Okay. Didn't know them from Jack. But why I'm saying this because a lot of us get stuck in ruts.
Yes.
And Kofi and I talk a lot about relationships, and we talk. You oversubscribe to event, yeah. So I got like 100. I'm like, I can't get through all this stuff, but so I need to bring it down to like 10 and then start checking them so I won't be overwhelmed. But a lot of us get into ruts, particularly if we're in a relationship or if we've broken up and we don't know how to start all over because we're used to being with this person and maybe we integrated ourselves into their relationships and their social whatever situations. And now because, you know, there's been a breakup, we don't know how to start over and we don't know how to kind of make friends as adults all over again and think about what kinds of things we want to do and how to reincorporate ourselves into a new social environment where we can meet interesting people and start, you know, creating some connections and stuff since we're hardwired for connection. And one way to do that, I'm telling you, literally Google meetups, free stuff to do in your city, fun stuff to do in your city. It really is that simple. And hundreds of things and ideas and stuff will come up, and then just go. Right. And so that's what I said, like that was a meetup. Had a blast, met some new people, all good. You know what I mean?
Okay. A whole yacht.
We don't think like that. We'll go someplace and be like, dang, look at all the boats out there. Wish I had one. You don't need one. Yeah. Think a little more creatively. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. And the more friendly you are as a person, people want to be around friendly people.
I'd be that 6'4" guy, you know, getting on the yacht with water wings, I promise you, because like it would just like it would not be pretty. I think that's my biggest issue.
You baby.
I'm serious. I'd have the life jacket on.
You don't swim?
We still be and I still feel some. It'd be crazy.
It was a little because it was like a smaller yacht. It was and so it was a little like scary because it got a little rocky at a couple different points. But we were fine. It's an adventure. Come on, let's go have fun. It's summer.
You know what? I'll leave the yachting to you guys. Someone find me a dinghy and a low pond someplace. Dude, I'll be all right.
That's one thing. Like I said, I'm going to the beach as well. Like you could just, you know, go to the beach too. You don't have to do that.
You can stop saying that now, Danai. You can stop saying that now. You can stop saying it now, Danai. Okay, thank you. Like, okay. I mean.
Sorry, I won't say that anymore. No more beach talk. All right.
Now enjoy it. Enjoy it. Look at the wow. But you're petty right now. Anyway.
What? Me? No! I'm literally
You're so not right. Yo, wait, hold up. Before we start, two quick things. Mr. Jones, I hear you. And Onyx Diva, write that book. That's what I'm saying. Or whatever it is you want to write. Write it. And then D, for you, are you Dumiso Marira's daughter? Marunga wants to know.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's my daddy.
You have real head down. She is Dumiso.
I know. That's my daddy.
Oh wow. Small world.
Who asked?
Marunga.
Yeah, that's my daddy. Whoever asked. Yep, that's my Papa Bear.
Yeah, you got family over here. Okay. Rugged Femme is asking, okay, what's the topic? I'm gonna let D run with it. Because it's D's topic. I'm gonna let her set it off.
Yeah. So, well, I'll answer the question because, well, you know what? No, I'm gonna let that go. The topic, right? So, we didn't really know what the topic was gonna be for today, so we're gonna go a little bit relaxed. But I was thinking because a lot of stuff that I've been seeing lately and hearing around the net has dealt a lot with summertime and how people are turning up in the summer, and so I was thinking we could talk a lot about, you know, how things are changing with women in particular, socially, sexually, having summer flings, being open to that, you know, vacationing, people coming back, lust, all this different stuff, and kind of, I guess, how to handle that, how to address that, or kind of what's trending right now. And I said that because, in all honesty, what I've seen a lot around the net is sort of a much more open attitude, if you will, about women kind of feeling like it's summertime, I'm gonna do me, and I don't want to hear anything from anybody. And there are a lot of memes going around, you know, with women doing all kinds of things, but basically the caption has some form of how I'm planning to be with somebody's son this summer, right? So I was talking to Kofi about that and just kind of talking about how I was talking to Kofi about that and how things have kind of changed a lot. I also was saying basically that a lot of times with men, men go through phases, a whole phase, if you will, and nobody says anything about it. Nobody ever is like, you know, no one's ever like, you know, oh, well, you know, like if a guy's like, I'm about to live my best life, nobody's like, oh, you need to calm all that down. Maybe you want to stay at home. Maybe you want to read your word even. Like nobody's going to go at a guy who basically is going through a phase where he's like, I want to turn up and I don't care and I'm just going to have a good time. It's just kind of known. But I feel like there's sort of a different culture that's emerging that not necessarily that women have never been sexual, not that women have never had flings or have never had, you know, summers that were like heated. The truth is, you know, summer is hot for a reason and we all know that. But more along the lines of there's sort of an open discussion of an embracing of women just like, whatever, I'm doing whatever I want to do. There is no judgment. And, you know, if I make money, I'm either going to have a great time in my own city or I'm going to take a jaunt to Bali or Indonesia. Well, Bali is Indonesia, or to Africa or to the Caribbean or, you know, wherever it is. I'm going to Europe, but I'm about to go specifically for the purpose of having fun and turning up sexually. Yes, sir.
To all the sisters, please stay away from East Africa because the colonizers have booked all the brothers on that side. It's crazy right now. It's crazy.
Hold up! Educate us. We don't know what's going on.
It is crazy. That's not like exactly what you're talking about, like the summer flings and everything. You have senior citizens from Europe and the like flocking to East Africa to get themselves these young dudes and everything, and it is crazy. Like, oh my gosh, it is crazy.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so see, it's very interesting, right? So it's almost like sex tourism is going on like all over the place now. You know what I mean? Yeah, Eritrea is East Africa, Yvette. Yeah. So
I'm not about Eritrea. But I know Uganda. I think Tanzania. Possibly Kenya. I'm not sure. Please keep me honest. Liz will let me know about Kenya, no doubt. But
did you say please keep me honest?
Yo, yeah.
I literally am like, wow, you said the colonizers. You said elderly colonizers. Now, you know what? So is it men, women, or both?
Both. I saw a documentary where they were talking about the men. You know, so like there was more of a focus on the men, like these young dudes the Caucasoids. Queen Gold Locks. No disrespect to any Caucasoids watching, we're just saying y'all is Caucasoids. Like going down, I'm talking about like women in their 50s, 60s, like hanging out with these 20-year-old boys and like, oh man. I love Zephaniah. You know,
no. Love ain't what she did. And I don't even think she's saying love. At 50, you don't play those games. You're just like, no, I'm here because I want Zephaniah, but love ain't got nothing to do with it.
No, these people. When I moved down to Kenya and I met Jimbo Jumbo, you know, it was love at first sight. It really was. It was perfect. He's been a perfect gentleman. I mean, the money I spend on him has got nothing to do with it. It's all natural.
It has nothing to do with it either. And the fact that my husband Henry can't get it up anymore has nothing to do with it either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. The fact that I keep them in food and clothes has got nothing to do with it. It's all true, genuine love. That's what it is. Yeah. Oh. Anyway.
Wow. No, and it's interesting because, okay, so that's fascinating. The other thing that I was aware of is there's a lot of white men who do sex tourism in Asia. And unfortunately, like in a lot of like the poorer countries, or like I believe it's like in Bali, in like Cambodia, or well, I should say in Indonesia, in Cambodia. There's a couple other places like Laos, etc.,
Oh
Vietnam, where
man.
it ends up being a lot of, they go for the kids there. They go
Yes, I
there.
know. I know.
It's bad.
Oh.
It's bad. It's bad. It's not. Yeah, this ain't how Stella got her groove back. This is more of like they go there because they can get kids, and there are no national laws against it, and I guess it's like internationally they don't extradite if I'm not correct. So it's bad.
I saw a video where a mom and her sister were busted. There was a sting operation set up. The whole thing was filmed, and they went there with an infant. An infant. Oh my good.
And
Like,
what? Like, gave the kid away? Sold it?
uh, for some sicko to do what he wanted with the child. Like, like I'm talking about a few months old. Just a few months old. Like there is something very. But anyway,
Yeah, they all have to die. I'm sorry, every last one of them. I love God. They all have to die. Every last one of them. Sorry, you take your kid
sorry.
and sexually abuse them. All of them have to die. All of them. They just all equally. They just need to drop dead. Every last one.
Mm, yeah, it's it's
That's
it's crazy.
incredibly disturbing.
Yeah. It's yeah. But back to the topic.
No, that was not where we were.
Yeah.
We're
Sorry. I'm sorry.
not drifting. Before we get back
Um,
to sexual tourism, I will say on a more adult scale, because we're not talking about perversions and pedophiles, but in talking about, like I said, sexual tourism and people traveling, going other places because they want to. Brazil has been very well known. In America, it's like a lot of black men go down there. And the word is that the women are very submissive, that they're very docile, that they're very feminine, that they treat the men like men. And so the men go down there for exactly that. That's what you hear. I've clearly never been, and I'm not a man, so I don't know. But these are the stories that you hear, that they're being treated very well. The men are. And because they're being treated very well, they don't mind, of course, taking care of her family, or, contributing to her. Thank you. Yes, yes, they don't mind helping to take care of her family. And, she's got, a son from another relationship, and her and her three sisters and her mom live in a whatever. And it's, he feels good because he's paying the bills. And yes.
you know, honestly, been saying yep because they're tired of Black American women. I have a comment for that, but like, okay, so like, let me just go back to what Danai was saying earlier about she doesn't hear a lot of guys chastising guys when they get up to this kind of behavior.
Yes.
This is the main reason why a lot of us, a lot of men grew up without fathers. They're not used to hearing a man tell them what they need to be doing. They're used to hearing a woman tell them what they need to be doing. And
True.
unfortunately, for many of them, because their moms were usually single moms, frustrated, beat down, by the responsibility of having to raise one child or more on her own, they didn't always get to see the best side of their moms. and they began to associate, women with nagging, people you leave. Because I mean, my dad obviously left her because this is her attitude. This is, what women are like. So I'm not trying to be around this. I'm not trying to commit to this. Not understanding that, had she had a partner who was playing his part, things would
She
probably have been
wouldn't have
very
been.
different.
Yeah, she would have been
You
more
know, things
relaxed,
probably,
and she would have been able to have been kind and soft and loving and gentle. She would have been able to,
you know,
not so stressed out
you know what I'm saying?
for all
So,
those reasons. But
um,
yeah, a husband
yeah,
takes half, but he also, takes half of the responsibility in terms of off of her shoulders because he's helping her, she's helping him. But also, we underestimate, and we're talking about it now, so let's talk about it. We underestimate what a stress reliever making love on a regular basis to your man is as well. So there are a lot of things that she's not getting that, yes, can create a very shrewd, kind of, shrill, if you will, tightly wound person who's under a lot of stress.
yeah. So we also need to consider all these things before we start making these blanket statements, and vice versa. Like, black women also need to take the time and just consider what they're saying and consider what black men have been through, to bring them to the point they're at now. But having said that, when we try to caution our brothers and correct our brothers, a lot of the time, it's not met with open arms, because the same moms have taught their sons to be suspicious of any words that come out of a man's mouth. So because she's been teaching him, maybe like, your men are trashes, like rhetorics, and men are dogs, and men are useless, and men are levers, and all that kind of stuff. He associates the men in his life, or sees them in that light a lot of the time, you know,
Interesting.
and they will not really give you that respect, because mom's been there for me my whole life, and she told me that you guys are not to be trusted. And you look at him like, yo, but you're one of us. And he's also, no, I'm
Yeah.
not. No, I'm not. And we're like, yo, well, actually, we know that. But, we're trying to bring you on board. No, I'm not trying to be a part of this. I'm not trying to be a part of the dog, whatchamacallit. The other problem is that many of these moms, when they see their sons acting the fool, won't say anything, because this is the man in her life. So she's not trying to say anything to push him away. If she'll spoil him, she'll give him what he wants, tell him what he wants to hear, all that foolishness. And, when he becomes a deadbeat, when he becomes a parasite, when he becomes an abuser and all that kind of stuff, she'll protect him, because this is the only man that she has in her life. So these are some of the issues that we're experiencing when we try to caution our brothers. Add to that the moral decay, the apostasy, the lack of just basic human decency anymore, and the lack of standards anymore. When you try and have conversations with guys now, and even try to broach it from a scriptural perspective, the level of resistance you're going to come across is crazy as a man. So for someone like me, I have friends, okay, and these are like, good dudes, come from two-parent homes and everything, who still cannot believe that I'm trying to be celibate, who still cannot believe that I'm trying to do the right thing. They also like, no, we have all this at your disposal, you should be tearing through the masses. And I'm like, but dude, like, there's so much more. Like, this is what we were programmed to do. But the real prize is here. Look at all these people you look up to. Look at all the guys you're aspiring to be like. How many of them are single? Maybe 2 or 3, but the majority of them are married. And they may not even be, you know, um, faithful in their marriages, but they're married. So already they're building something. You're over here playing games and losing wealth. Think about that. Then secondly, they've got someone to keep them accountable. You have no one. Your own parents are enabling your foolish behavior, your self-destructiveness. When things fall apart, you're going to be looking at them some type of way. You know what I'm saying? the boys that you surround yourself with, like, oh, my boys will be boys. Yeah, boys will be boys until they're supposed to be men. You're supposed to be a man right now. This is how men conduct themselves. No, I'm not trying to hear that forever young, blah, blah, blah. Well, even Jay-Z, when they got married, you know, even Jay-Z's telling you to stop this foolishness and to focus on one woman. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Snoop, Luda, everybody.
yeah, it's hard to talk to these guys because they're not used to listening, to reason. And I've said this before. I get really worked up when I hear men constantly talking about, I feel like this is this, and I feel like everything is feel, 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 feel. Where's the truth in what you're saying? You know, don't bring your truth. What is the truth in what you're saying? You've been saying, I feel like every man should be sleeping around up until the age of 30. How's that worked out for you? Let's talk about it. How's that worked out for you?
Thing about what you're saying, particularly when you talked about the mother, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm like, I'm going to forget this. But is that you're absolutely right. There are a lot of women in men's lives, mothers, grandmothers, aunts, etc., who've been influential, who have absolutely poisoned them, not just against men, but against women as well. And yeah, and I'm just now starting to hear a lot about men are not the prize, but I'm just now starting to hear a lot about how men have been socialized and how men have been affected by the women in their lives, and really how those women have been secretly trying to hold on to their sons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and I mean, what I liked about what you said was you're basically psychologically going, okay, well, what she's doing is she's not going to hold him accountable for anything that might send him away. She's not going to do anything to him that might send him away. She's not going to do anything that's going to draw attention to the fact that he needs to grow up, because if he does, well, grow up also means take a wife. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot that goes with that that's like very interesting in terms of how a woman will. And I think you were even saying, but I think this was off the platform. I think this was a conversation you and I were having on our own, where you were talking about how moms sometimes, even psychologically, the way that they socialize their daughters is in the exact same way. There's I don't know. When you're not exposed to something because your mother is not that way, there are a lot of these concepts that sincerely are like foreign, but then when they come up in sort of family dynamics, and you're dealing with wives who are dealing with a mother-in-law who is this way, that's when it really comes out. But what you said struck me, because I remember talking with a guy once who was telling me all of these horrible ideals and ideas that he had about women, and everything was wrong. It was like all the stuff that like all the grown-up guys have talked about. There was always some OG on the corner who was telling them, all the worst woman advice ever, like never tell the truth, always lie, under every single circumstance, like all the different things that they would say, have as many as you can, never settle down, all this, never show her your heart, never be vulnerable. And mature men have said any man who is actually successful with a woman who is in his life literally does not listen to any of that. But, younger men do. But for me, it was just fascinating to hear this gentleman talking. And he's saying his mother or his grandmother told him all that stuff. Never trust a woman. Never give your heart to a woman. Always have more than one. Don't ever be vulnerable. Don't spend any money on a woman. Make sure she's... And I'm just, a woman told you all of this? And he's like, yeah. My grandma told us that. And I'm just, whoa. So, but it was very interesting, because by the end of the conversation, you could hear about the fruit that it was yielding in his life was that he didn't have the love that he desired, and he didn't have the trust that he wanted, and he couldn't open his heart to a woman. And so there's sort of this imprisoned state that at the same time, and this is the funny part, this is like the mind freak, is socially in social circles with men, particular immature men, there's a reinforcement of, well, you should be happy because, you got all this stuff. And so then it's like, why am I not happy? Like, why is this not enough? And like a genuine confusion, because everything in his world taught him more is better, you know, and don't trust them and keep them at bay and don't be vulnerable. Definitely don't give your heart. And it's just all this stuff where it's like watching that kind of coming of age is very interesting. And who's going to win? Like, which side of your personality are you going to let win? Are you going to allow your actual heart to ever be seen and known and discovered by a woman? Because in order for that to happen, you're going to have to be vulnerable and open. You're going to have to take chances and risks. And you're going to have to trust somebody who you've been taught and bred not to trust. Or are you going to keep faking it and dancing and pretending like you're happy and secretly knowing that you're not and feeling imprisoned by this charade?
You know, it's a very dangerous game to play, fellas. Like, you know, and I saw one of the brothers talking about, commenting earlier about he's struggling with premarital sex with his betrothed. And you know what, bro? It's possible. It's difficult. It's possible. Shout out to you guys for even undertaking that journey. And you know, like people become so jaded, they laugh when they hear a couple's trying to do that, but there are so many benefits to it because you guys really get to know each other outside of the carnal aspect, you know, and that's what's really going to sustain you in the relationship, not the carnality, you know. So, you know, a huge shout out to the both of you for doing that. We're praying that you guys succeed and, you know, like you make it through to the wedding day, you know, intact. And I mean, like if you guys do slip, I'm not encouraging it, you know, but if you guys do slip, don't beat yourselves up. Don't tear at each other, you know. Like it's. I think sometimes we're very judgmental with each other because we think that, you know, once you're born again or once, you know, like like you found Christ and you're trying to live right and everything, that everything, you know, you get everything right immediately. You don't. It's line upon line, precept upon precept. You're repenting of your past ways. You're relearning. Well, like you're getting rid of old habits, and it's a gradual, and you're replacing them with new habits. It took you years to learn those old habits. It's going to take you years to unlearn the bad habits. You know, hopefully God will expedite the process. But if not, then just be patient with yourself and give it time. The both
Also,
of
you know, if you fall off the wagon, couple different things. Find a couple in your church or a couple in your community that you all can be held accountable to. Because accountability works really, really well. And not people who are judgmental, but people who are really supportive and encouraging and who will hold you guys accountable. Because going it alone is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. I kept saying, you know, we're wired for community, and the way that Christ set up the church, it's all about community. It's all about iron sharpening iron. It's all about one hand washing the other. And so we really are, as Christians, we participate in each other's lives and we help each other to get over the finish line. We help. Because again, in isolation, that's where you find like every evil thing. So if the two of you are already struggling, you know, and y'all are loving each other and attracted to each other and it's summertime, like, y'all ain't gonna make it, you know. I mean, don't set yourselves up not to make it. So I would say definitely find another couple that you know you all are willing to submit to, that you're comfortable submitting to, who can help to hold you guys accountable. I would also say do as much as you can during the day or outside of the home or in non-confined spaces. Invite other people into your dating life, you know, go to social events with other people, have a couple different, you know, other sets of couples that you guys do stuff with, but try to minimize alone time when you guys are just alone, particularly at night, etc., in intimate spaces. And the last thing I was going to say was just, if you fall, I agree with Kofi, don't judge yourselves, don't be super hard on yourselves, but also don't think that because you blew it, you have to stay down there. Just because you blew it doesn't mean that, okay, so we had sex today and the wedding is 6 months down the line. You don't have to have sex for the next 6 months. You could actually get back on the horse and live out the rest of the 6 months in your celibacy or in your abstinence, and God will honor that. He really will. Like every sacrifice that we make for the purpose of God, for the sake of God, he sees and he rewards. And no sacrifice you make is not worth it or isn't going to yield you a return and a result. And I'll give you one example of that. my Bible study pastor at church home, him and his wife actually made it all the way to marriage as virgins, both of them. And he shares a story of, I think it was the week before they were about to get married. So it was like, you know, maybe they were getting married on, let's say, a Friday, and this is like on, excuse me, they're getting married on like a Sunday, and this is like the Friday before. And they ended up, I don't know how or why, but they ended up like in this mansion. Maybe they were dream chasing or whatever, but they ended up in this mansion, and they're walking around the house and it's empty. And I think it was like a friend's space, but they were in there kind of, you know, vision casting about like their future together, etc. And he said he had this moment where he looked at her and she looked at him, and it was like, oh my God, it's on, you know, like, and he said he literally heard the enemy say, dude, it's 3 days. You're basically already married. Like, you made it. Like, go for it. And he said the only thing that saved him from not making a foolish mistake was he called his accountability partner and said, get me out of here right now. And so his boy came, picked him up, and they left, they dispersed, etc. But why is that important? And the way that he handled that important? Because that man now travels the world preaching the gospel. And his wife of 18 years has said, no matter if he's in Vegas with the boys, if he's in South Africa, if he's in Bali, if he's in Brazil, she trusts her husband inherently, because she knows if he had the willpower to, when he loved her, super attracted, in a moment like, oh my God, let's do this. And technically, I mean, we're already there. It's only 3 days. But he had the integrity to not be strong, but call for help so that he could be strong. Yes. To take that outlet, which there's a scripture that says, no temptation is befallen you except for that which is common to man. But with every temptation, God will provide a way out. And so it's always, are you going to take it or not? And so he took the way out. And because of that, his wife, at this point with him traveling the world, has inherent trust in him, because she knows, you know, he'll do the right thing. If he did it before, he'll do it again. And so what I'm trying to say, and summarizing all of that up, is even if you fall, if your attitude is still one of integrity and one of, okay, let's take a biblical look at how to address what we just did. Let's repent, which just means turn around and go another way. Let's acknowledge what we did was actually ungodly, and let's then go forth and sin no more. That's a beautiful attitude before God, and your wife, who is going to be your wife, will never forget that. She'll know that you're still, even in the midst of, you know, blowing it, if you will, willing to recover and do the repair work that's necessary to get you guys back on the road. And the way she will trust you is just, you can't buy it, because you can't. Trust is built in moments like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And what that also does, just to add to what Danai says, is that is practice for marriage. Because like that repentance, in marriage, you be repenting almost every single day. There are certain things that you learn growing up in your home, in your family, in your culture, in your nation, you know, that you're gonna have to unlearn in marriage. And every single day, you know, your partner will know that if they could repent from something as tempting as that, you know, and as major as that, then the little things, the little foxes, we can definitely handle, you know. So yeah, again,
I also think that a lot of people, I was going to say men, but I don't even think it's just men. I think that a lot of people underestimate how attractive having a heart that's right before God is. You know what I mean? Like, think about, like, you could fall, totally fall, blow it, mess up. But the way that you recover could draw your woman's heart towards you in a way that that wouldn't even be possible if you never fell, if you will. And I'm not telling you to fall in order to experience this, but, you know, Paul said something about that. He's like, great, so if sin more abounds, then if grace more abounds where sin is heavy, should we sin more? He's like, no, you idiot. That's a fail statement. I know, but I love it because he's so reasoning like us when we just have our lusty brain and we want whatever we want, whatever that lust is, because the lust is not sexual for everyone. You know, for some people it's food, it's gambling, it's shopping, it's whatever the lust is. Whatever our lust is, we have our reasoning that makes room for it instead of helping us to get rid of it. But yeah, all of that just to say, a heart that is pure before the Lord, even a repentant heart that is pure before the Lord, is really beautiful. It really is. And so I want to like encourage you on that front. Like, if you blow it, understand your recovery could win your woman's heart in ways that like nothing else ever could. And your willingness to be vulnerable and open and to trust God in the midst of your brokenness will, fellas, listen, it will instill a level of trust in your leadership of her that will elicit a natural willingness to submit, like no "submit to me, woman" ever could.
And for the record, it's not submission.
Yeah, no, not submitting. Don't want to. I'm bullheaded. I'm in witchcraft. Whatever. Witchcraft is in here tonight because no, I'm in rebellion. But yeah, you go vulnerable. You admit your sin. You lead her in prayer. You make a new agreement. This is I know what we just did. We're repenting, and this is the path we're on. We're going to stay on the path. We're going to trust God, and we're going to walk forward. I'm telling you, that is leadership. That's spiritual leadership. That's what women are looking for.
A few things. Rugged Femme says women need men. Listen, we need you guys too. In fact, like, you know, I'm going to take a step further and say something very controversial. Men need women more than women need men. And I say this because scripture is very clear on it. It says the woman was created for the man. The man was not created for the woman. This does not speak to possessiveness. This speaks to purpose. The woman was created to help fill a need that the man had. It is not good for this man to be alone. But when God was dealing with a woman, and you know, like before he cast him out of the garden, he said, "Your desire will be for the man, not your desire. You will want the man, but he will rule rightly over you." That is a condition of you being with a man. He has to rule rightly over you. The Scriptures 2009 translation. Not that, like, you know, he will just rule over you. He has to rule rightly over you. He has to know how to love you. He has to know how to lead. He has to know how to walk with you rightly so that your desires for him, you know, are not abused and misused. I just want to add, answer also, Wanda, shout out to you for not poisoning your sons. We need more like you. And the Rainy City says, is breaking it off with a man because he really doesn't have the capacity to be a provider wrong? Let me clarify something quickly, or like, you know, like say something quickly. Every man has the capacity to be a provider. The question is, does he have the willingness to be a provider? And that's what we're covering earlier.
Yeah.
Every man has a capacity. It's in him. He was created with a purpose to provide. Not everybody embraces their purpose. Not everybody accepts the responsibility, and not everybody does what they're supposed to do. Yeah. So if there's a man, if you're with a man who is willing to provide, and we're not just talking about financially, we're talking about, is he willing to be there? Is he willing to be supportive? Is he willing to be loving? Is he willing to be caring? Is he willing to be considerate? Is he willing to be humble? Is he willing to be teachable? Is he willing to educate you? Is he willing to share all these things? That is a man who has the ability and the willingness to provide. And that's a man you should be entertaining. But if he has the capacity and lacks the willingness, this is where women now start thinking, I can inflame that desire within him to do the right thing. You cannot. If your presence did not light that flame, if he didn't experience you and think to himself, oh, I'm willing to make
this thing together. Yeah.
And no, you're not going to go there and I am here to teach you how to lead your. No, it's not going to happen. I'm very sorry.
I totally agree with that, and I think, I think we also underestimate how important providing is. We do, and I know there's a lot about equal everything, which you all know. I always talk about equality dulls romance, but I think when we're looking at even the way that Adam was made, everything he just said, you know, we talked about, you know, Adam was there for years before Eve ever got there, we're imagining, but God gave him a job to do. He gave him something to do. And so, yeah, and there's so many just scriptures that talk about, you know, a man who won't work doesn't eat, and a worker is worth their wages. And, you know, if you're going to be lazy, you can expect, or you're going to be a sluggard, or you're going to be, you know, deciding not to work, then, you know, you're not going to have a life. And so what you need to be asking yourself more along the lines, because there are more and more men showing up going, hey, I ain't got no job. Will you love me? You need to ask yourself, what are you taking on in terms of the project? What are you taking on in terms of someone who is going to be rebelling against their core of what they were created to do? You need to be asking yourself, you know, are you going to be like, you go into labor tomorrow, you don't have someone you can depend on. You don't have someone who's going to take over and make sure that you and that child are protected, provided for, covered. You know what I mean? You, in essence, are on your own. And so, and I'm saying this because there are so many men who are showing up in this state, and they're guilting you all into thinking that something is wrong with you, that you are unmerciful, or you're a gold digger, or that there's something wrong with you because you want a man who provides. And I would say a woman who chooses a man who cannot provide, or who is unwilling to provide, is not being honest about or prudent about what's down the road. You're not looking at what's down the road. You're looking at he's cute, or how he makes you feel, or the sex is good, or that, yep, all of that, or y'all look good in pictures and everybody likes him, etc. None of that is going to matter, as I said, as you start building a life together. As you start building a life together, bills come every month, stresses come in, you know, having children comes in, mouths to feed, school clothes and school supplies and all kinds of different things, you know. All of that costs money. And if you are made to feel like you can only depend on yourself, and you do not have a partner who you can depend on, you are going to become resentful. It happens every time. It just does. So I'm saying all of that to rephrase your question. It's not, you know, are you a bad person because you're considering not dating somebody who's not a provider? You're thinking about your children. You're thinking as a, let's go even further. Are you a wife?
Yeah. 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 That's a question a lot of ladies do.
Dude, if you're a wife, if you identify as a wife, your question is answered. Go, Kofi. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I was just reinforcing what you were saying. I was agreeing.
Yeah, because a wife is provided for. That's just the truth. I didn't make the rules, but I don't have a problem sharing them with you. The other thing someone mentioned is MG Tao. And are you familiar with MG Tao?
Yeah, MGTOW. Yeah.
Yes.
Idiocy. Lunacy of the highest order. Lunacy.
For those who don't know what MGTOW is, talk about it. Tell them what it is, Kofi.
So MGTOW is men going their own way, and it's, look, I mean, they claim to have all these benevolent and chivalrous reasons for doing what they do. They almost had me sold, and you know,
Are
the
you for
timing
real?
was, yeah, they almost had me sold, you know, shortly after my separation.
I
Yes,
knew it.
there you go.
I
You
knew
know,
it.
so when you're in that space, this all sounds appealing. This all sounds like, well, this makes total sense. These people are bloodsuckers and must all be treated with the condemnation and condescension that they deserve. But the reality is, most of us go into marriage not even understanding what a man's purpose is, a husband's purpose is, a wife's purpose is, the purpose of marriage is, the purpose of family is. We don't know any of these things. We go in there with these soapy flipping fantasies of what love is supposed to be. It's a feeling. We go in there, the feelings change, we get mad. After we said it's a feeling. After we said it's a feeling. Oh, flip, only 30 seconds left. All right, we're going to end it. We're going to come back for another 30 minutes or so. I have to be someplace, but like this conversation needs to be had.
It's good. It is good. It is good.
And if we haven't gotten to your questions, please, please, if you can just retype them. Very sorry. And we'll try and get to them
I'm going to
again.
text you something too, Kofi. I want you to pay attention.